I'd like to welcome everybody to our study session tonight, and we would just ask if you could please silence or turn off your cell phones, and remind everybody that our meetings are televised every day in Channel 2, 6 p.m. and midnight, and also on YouTube. So we'll go ahead and kick it off with our first item tonight, which is our report from Leavenworth Unified School District, USD 453. But looks like we might need to move to the next item, the University of St. Mary.
Is she here yet?
All right, we'll keep moving along.
Well, we're on the roll.
Public Library, come on up, guys.
I mugged them on the way in. I'd like to share some information with everybody. I guess we do family style. Take one and pass it down. This is most of what I'll be covering this evening and more. I know that you have a busy agenda, so I don't want to keep you too long.
It's all right, the agenda's almost halfway over.
And I'm sorry, I don't manage to get these things to you by Friday so that they get distributed to you. I find myself right up until the last minute, what am I going to talk about? What do I want to talk about? And sometimes it just takes that long for me to kind of wrap my head around what I think information I ought to share, and not just focus on numbers and things that maybe people already know or already have a kind of a good grip on. So first, there's a schedule for everybody. We put these out quarterly. So I wanted to let everybody see the volume of programs, the variety of programs, and the schedule of programs that we have planned for this fall and winter. Part of our focus on this growing programs and improving programs and doing a larger variety comes directly from the results of the poll that was conducted when we did our strategic planning. Programs were, I believe, the number two, depending on which question was asked, with a number 2 or 3 need. People wanted lots of programs and they wanted a greater variety of them. So I think this definitely reflects our efforts to meet that community need as expressed by the 400 some people who answered our survey, as well as just following up with what has traditionally been a real strong library service, which of course are story hours and activities for children. The front page, I wanted to focus tonight on the community engagement. When we did strategic planning, we got a lot of input, of course, from the community, and kind of distilled the variety of suggestions, the variety of thoughts, the variety of input into 4 primary focuses. Now, tonight, I'd like to talk about community engagement, and again, that's part and parcel with the kind of programs that we do in-house. But we also do things in the community. We want to bring library services out to the community, go to different kind of events to inform people. That's another thing we heard from the public when we did our survey, is that we're not sure what's going on at the library. So we make every effort to get out, give people calendars, give people information about how to get a library card, just general library services to communicate, to engage them, to encourage them to come to use the library, take advantages of the services that we offer. We've increased the volume and scope of our outreach efforts. Our youth reading programs visit 3 daycares and a preschool, and so far this year, 455 children have enjoyed stories and activities that engage the imagination and stimulate interest in books and reading. Expand outreach opportunities was part of one of the mandates for our community engagement, and we have looked for and taken advantage of different kind of community events to provide, again, library information to the community. There's a list of them there. Some of them are with the city programs, some are with University of St. Mary, the school. So we really are trying hard to partner with other organizations in the area, especially nonprofit or service organizations. We worked with the David Brewer and Nettie Hartnett Elementaries at events this fall, and over 500 attended those and received info about the library programs and services. We've also, part of our community engagement is to develop and maintain mutually beneficial relationships. So we have decided, staff input, we've always done a canned and dried food. We have a little barrel there that goes to Catholic Charities. We've had that for years. So we decided to look at the possibility of expanding that role and working with different agencies. So far this year, we have collected used cell phones for the Alliance Against Family Violence. We have worked, again, to continually providing Catholic Charities items for their food bank. We started we had a blood drive with the Red Cross, and They were very impressed at how successful it was the first time. They didn't want to schedule several of them, not knowing what the turnout would be, but they're more than happy to come back. So we have blood drives scheduled with them. We're doing Toys for Tots with the Marine Corps this year. And we're also going to do a pet food and supplies drive for Hope Incorporated in the month of December. So again, we're just always looking to explore opportunities with agencies and organizations throughout the city, provide information, share information, and just encourage people to come visit the library. And there are 2 flyers, I believe, in there. This is I keep trying to convince people to call it Read and Bleed, but they won't. It's a blood drive at the library. So the next one is going to be Tuesday, December 10th. And this is the flyer for our Partners in Giving with the pet food and supplies drive with the Hope Pet Rescue. And that will be the entire month of December. So that's just one small part, a few activities that we have been engaging in related to specifically to our strategic plan. And we use that to focus our efforts, to focus our energies, our budgets, our time and resources. So we are sticking to the plan. And then last but not least, I'm sure everybody's interested in general idea of what kind of business the library is conducting. So far through the end of October this year, our total circulation has gone up 4%. And electronic sources, as in every library that I know of, are driving most of that increase. We have noticed that a couple areas, large print books, DVDs, use for those materials are declining. I think part of it, if you get in your car these days, it doesn't come with a CD player. It comes with a satellite connection, or it comes with some other way that you can use an online streaming service to listen to books on tape in your car. DVDs themselves, I don't know how much longer they have. They're becoming kind of an ancient form of technology like the 8-track and the album. Probably not in the not too distant future. I had an 8-track player, my 76 Nova, I loved it. But those are eventually they're going to be replaced. They're just going to fall by the wayside. So we are growing our collection of online material. We're building our collection of ebooks and e-audiobooks. Continue to support Hoopla and Canopy. We looked at another online information source called Craftsy, which was hobbies, how to knit, how to sew, how to cook. We did a test of that for about a month. It wasn't what we expected. So next one we're going to explore is called IndieFlix. It's another online streaming movie platform that we can possibly purchase for our users. There aren't many online content providers that will work with libraries. They don't want to work with libraries. They want every single person to pay for their own subscription or pay for their own access. So we really work hard to find partners and to work with them while we can, because some of the partners that I've worked with in the past in other libraries got bought up by people who basically bought them up to put them out of business. So Netflix is never going to let libraries do it on a public basis. Hulu, all those, they're definitely more interested in individuals getting charged. But we need to grow that collection like we do everything else, because again, it's the most popular and the most rapidly growing use of the library. Our building traffic was up 4%. Computer use is up 26%. Wireless use is growing, but even our wired computers are experiencing kind of an increase in growth, an increase in use this year. I think, of course, COVID put everything down, but I think as people don't mind sitting next to each other at computers, that seems to be taking off again, and another service that is really needed by the community. We have been doing some weeding. Part of if you want to replace books or buy a large number of new books every year, you have to have a place to put them. Since the library shelf space isn't growing, we have to make room for them. So we weed our books based on how old they are. A 20-year-old book on heart health, it's probably not what you need. We look at condition, we look at popularity. So we have done a complete overhaul and weeding process in the adult collection. That's the reason why we have 6,869 items have been deleted this year. We've added about 5,000. Interlibrary loan, dropped a little bit. Maybe that's a good sign. Maybe it means that some of the other libraries that we partner with are providing information to their own customers that are on their own shelves. Not sure. Meeting room use, and that's another thing that came out in our plan. One of the most important services that people wanted us to preserve and improve and expand is having meeting space, not just for our programs, but for community organizations, community events, clubs to come in and use the library. People who want to study and work together. We have a rapidly increasing number of people who want to use the library for that purpose. So the total attendance of use of our meeting rooms and our programs added up to 19% this year. So I think we're doing a good job for the community. I think we're meeting the needs as expressed by the strategic plan. The decreases that I see in our different categories of use are not due to our lack of effort. It's mostly due to the fact that, again, CDs, DVD, we got rid of our CD collection entirely. The DVD use is dropping simply because people are using other things. So we meet that need by providing access to other streaming services. And I know last time we spoke, I think it was April or May, and I brought up, and I know it was late, it was well after the budget was pretty much completed, and most of the major discussions were over. But I would like to reiterate the need for a needs assessment, to take a look at the library structure and figure out what the best way to meet the community needs in the future are. It's not only the building not only has some physical issues that are not going away, but the use, the way that people are using the library is changing. Should we build? Can we renovate this building? What can we do to build a space that will meet these needs as they've changed over time? The last time the library expanded, I want to say, was 2010 or 9. Maybe it's even earlier than that, 1990 maybe? Oof.
It was a long time ago.
I get the years mixed up. As when the YA addition was put on the building. So I wanted to talk to you early because maybe you're already thinking about budget. Probably like me, you think about budget year round. But I would really urge you to think of supporting a needs assessment for the library and including that expenditure or that planned expenditure in your budget for next year. And again, I wanted to get that ask or that request into you before the serious planning started. I believe last time around the estimate was about $40,000, along with the money we have collected from various generous people. I think that would cover it. It's hard to say what it would cost until you get bids in from companies. When you send out an RFQ, you kind of cross your fingers and you hope that it comes in at a certain budget or at a certain amount. People will not, I've had no success attracting more people to donate to this effort because they're not sure what the city's going to do. I give you $10,000, I give you $5,000, I give you $500, and then nothing happens. You know, the city won't pay to do a needs assessment on its own building. Why should I give you money for that? So I pretty much exhausted, I believe, all the charitable and all the people who are going to contribute. And we have around, I want to say, between $16,000 and $17,000 that was donated specifically for that needs assessment. But I would love to see the city's participation, the city's involvement. Again, you own the building. We want to do the best we can. And I know that the Band-Aids and some of the other fixes that have happened, and there have been some wonderful additions, the HVAC system, the new atrium. So the city has definitely been involved in really taking care of the property when big things, maybe not big things, but when major problems happen, when the atrium started leaking, that got taken care of. So I guess the overall investigation of the community needs for library space hasn't really been done since 1984. The library and the city and the library paid for a needs assessment, and that's what led to the purchase, the donation, and the renovation of the building we currently occupy. So this is something it's a pretty standard way to get information from professionals, to get design professionals, and to come up with a cost estimate to then possibly, put on the ballot and let the people decide if they would support it.
Okay.
So, any questions at all about the library, about what we're doing, about a needs assessment?
No, I don't have any questions. I know your meeting rooms are full all the time. There's a need all over
Yeah.
the city for meeting space, so we appreciate being able to use the library for so many of our community service.
And I love it because every Friday, we get about 60 little kids in there, hopping and jumping in for that wiggle workshop. And that's the one thing I miss so much when people were not willing to come to the library or share space with each other, was that sound of 50 little kids running in the door all excited. You see those faces and you realize that in 20 years, they're going to be bringing their kids to the library because this is just a great experience for them.
Will you be helping assist with taxes again this year?
Yes. Cindy's already planning that, volunteered in income tax assistance. We are the only organization left in about a 3-county area that does it for people. The Council on Aging does it for people over a certain age, and I believe they take care of some of the senior citizens down in Basel. But we're the only institution that does it for everybody. Now, the program itself has income qualifications, but we take anybody that meets those qualifications. You don't have to be, I want to say it's over 60 for the Council on Aging to provide that support. Last year, we got about between 300 and 400 people.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, that's good.
Matt, if you did a design, I noticed one thing about the library, there's so much empty space, unused space. Would that be part of what they would look at? So like when
Well-
you walk in, there's just that, well, it's a grocery store. So is that big area right there that's not being used? Are they gonna kind of reframe it or redesign it?
the needs assessments I've done before, and I've done 4 of them, they look at the community plan. This is what the kind of services the community want. This is from their professional design experience. They know how to organize space to make that possible, to how to place services next to each other within the building that makes sense. They can help us redesign the workflow. When someone comes in to bring books in the library, they come in the door, they walk clear around that wall, they go over here. The second door doesn't have an automatic opener, so you don't need to be disabled to struggle with that. If you're a parent with 2 bags of books, a stroller, and 3 rambunctious kids, you have to stop, open that door, hold it, get through it. When things are delivered, they come up. When books are taken out of the book drop, we basically do 80 miles between the front desk and that one, whereas if that yawn room was gone, and we had our circulation area behind there, deliveries could come on right into that room. The materials that come in from the 48,000 items we get from other libraries could come right into that room, instead of through a 6-foot hole, down, back. There are just so many efficiencies. Our lights are 30 feet above the ground, so we have to have a lift and 2 people to come in and change the light bulbs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just
It
lots of
sounds like
stuff.
all I'm
Okay.
doing is whining
No, I
and
get it.
complaining, but, I know the facility has been serving this community for a long time. Part of the problem I see in every library I've been is just lack of storage space. The tables and chairs we use in the room are in that room. So when we have wiggle workshop, we have to push everything out because we need the space and then put everything back in. There are a lot of improvements we can make on the workflow and the efficiency of the library. Again, if you look at the use of our large print books, it's declining. If you look at the use of physical audio books, it's declining. So is there a way to better organize and sort of make the collection more compact and provide better meeting space and more meeting space? And a lot of people want, again, if you have been to the Tonganoxie Library, they have about 4, maybe 5 small workspaces where 2, 3, 4 people can get in there and work together. We have a lot of demand for that. There are a lot of people that come in. We have one room that really is suitable for that. It's very small. I opened up the boardroom for that purpose upstairs, but there's nobody up there after 5 o'clock. So we don't want people running around up there after 5. So it's really only available from about 10 to 4. I couldn't begin to tell you all of the things that are right and wrong with the building. That's why a professional needs assessment by people who are really, really experienced can help. The slope of the land, the lay of the land has a definite effect on any design that you do. Because if you stand on Spruce Street by our front door, it's about 4 feet lower than the street next to it. So can you build on this site? How can you rearrange the structure or the services within the structure that would still work with the outside. If we move the entrance, for example, if we had a drive-through, for example, how is that going to work? So there are a lot of potential, a lot of information to be gathered. Input, of course, and that would also involve another set of, another community input. You know, what would you like to see? Would you support this? We have a group of people already that have crafted a RFQ for a needs assessment. So we have a building, we don't really call it a committee, we call it a team. But they represent the community and having that input from community members too, not just librarians and not just board members. Some of the best ideas we got from our plan were not from one of us. It was from somebody who said, why don't you do a newsletter? And I went, I don't know, why don't we do a newsletter? We've been doing electronically, but doing the paper has really, and everybody thought, well, that's so old fashioned, nobody cares. It's been very successful.
Oh, good.
So,
Well, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
you're welcome.
Thank you, Matt.
All right,
Thank you.
Matt.
thank you.
Appreciate you.
Okay, I think we'll go ahead and move on to our report from the Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Did we contact the school district in the St. Mary's? Anybody know?
They were all confirmed.
It was confirmed,
They're
okay,
all
just
to be
checking
here
on
this
that,
evening,
'cause
so.
they have never, either one of them have never missed that I know of.
How you doing?
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
Hey,
Same night.
Commissioners, nice to see everyone. Okay. Wanted to start tonight, as always, kind of give you just a quick update over national and then some Kansas tourism information and then finish with some Leavenworth tourism information. So as nationally, they are kind of predicting the holiday travel plans to be pretty cautious compared to 2023, just due to inflation and that still seems to be relatively strengthening for the next few months here until we find out what's going on. But so they are predicting just a flat holiday travel season. Another big event that's coming up is the America 250, July 4th, 2026. Nation will commemorate and celebrate the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. If you haven't looked online, they do have a website and they are asking Americans to, what does it mean to you, and nominate histories unsung champions, and then tell your American story. So I think there's a lot of different ways that people can get involved in it if you're interested in that. And then another one is the World Club 2026. We've been really involved with the Visit KC site. They've actually had a person on staff that's kind of in charge of it from their end and that. So we're keeping abreast of everything that's going to be going on, and we'll try and get involved in areas that will make sense for us moving forward. I can see maybe trying to get on some day trips or something like that they get out there and try and get the idea that we have a ton of history up here and that it would be interesting to a lot of people to come see if they want to do that. Overnight stays, I don't see a lot of that happening just because it's June and that's when our busy season is anyway for hoteliers and that. And then plus the war fighters, there's going to be about 2,500 war fighters in the area during that same period. So I don't see a lot of hotels nights coming from the World Cup for us, but hopefully we'll rein in on some of the day trips and stuff of that and some of that information. So Kansas tourism industry, they contract with the tourism economics, and I actually later on in the report will kind of give you just a quick overview of what they've done for Leavenworth, because I contracted with them to do a study on just Leavenworth. The state does one on the state, of course, and then all the counties. So I can get some information from that, but we wanted kind of an in-depth study on the tourism industry from them, for their perspective, just on Leavenworth. But for the state, their visitor spending reached $8 billion in 2023, with a total economic impact of about $13.2 billion in 2023. And it sustained 90,923 jobs and generated $823 million in state and local tax revenues. So tourism is a big business for the state of Kansas, as you can see there, and it's expanding. It's going in the right direction. So it's had an increase of 4.6% in 2023, recovering to 10% higher than what 2019 levels. It seems like 2019 is what everybody kind of still measures it by, because that was the highest year they had seen right before COVID. So. But we've recovered to 10% higher than the 2019 levels. So due to demand and price increases of overnight visitors, they figure that they spend about $367 per person, which is also an increase of 2.4% over previous years. Most of the amount that dollars that I was giving you earlier, transportation is 2.3 million, food and beverage 2.43 million, 1.3 million for recreation, retail, and then lodging, all increased. The transportation increased by 2.6, food and beverages increased 5.2, so recreation increased 5.9, retail increased 3.2, and lodging has increased 7.6. So tourism in general for the state of Kansas is looking pretty good. And in fact, it's rolled over into the tourism office as well. So they've been hiring quite a few more people, not quite a few more people, but their staff is increasing, and they're changing in their job descriptions and that, moving forward to keep up with everything. Jordan Romerman's been promoted to the new role of Deputy Director for Kansas Tourism. She'll be Bridget's, the Director of Tourism's right-hand person. Andrea Etzel, she's been in charge of the Kansas Magazine. I don't know if you're all, hopefully you're all seeing the Kansas Magazine and that. She's actually going to start a Kansas Kids Magazine, so everyone's kind of really excited about that. She'll be rolling that out in January, so we're looking forward to that. If you haven't heard, like Love Kansas is the new initiative that they're starting to try and bring people back to Kansas to move back here. They're actually hiring a new person, a coordinator, to actually take that on and grow the program. And then just other news, this year's Kansas Tourism Conference that we just held in October was the largest they've ever had, with 240 people in attendance. So that was good news for everybody. Also on the occupancy, this is the state report. And this, I'll just do the year-to-date for 2024. Occupancy was 57.2. The average daily rate for the 2024 was $105.18. And then RevPAR for the year-to-date for 2024 was $60.19. I did on a featured slide, you'll see kind of a comparison to what Leavenworth's is. But now we'll kind of give you an overview of what Leavenworth tourism industry has. Anyway, so the visitor days and length of stay. This here is still using that Datify system that we've got in place in that, and we did re-up for this year in that, so we'll have it for the next year in that. So it does really help as far as give you an overview, an idea of demographics and who are all visiting us. As you can see, average length of stay is about 1.9 to 2 days. 1 day is at 31.8% of the people that do come here to visit, and these are from people 50 miles and out. So just keep that in mind as well. Cluster visitation most people are going downtown, 16.8%. The lodging, attractions, and then meeting venues are where the main clusters of visitation are. And then they did break it down to points of interest as well. Downtown Leavenworth, 84,000 plus visitors, visitor trips. University of St. Mary, 22.3, Fairfield, about 13.8. You can kind of see the numbers down there. I just wanted to point out again, the Leavenworth National Cemetery and the Chapel of Veterans. I consider that basically just the VA hospital up in that area. So that basically comes in third if you add those two together. So that's kind of what I've done on my reports, is just, so they're about at 19,000. So the VA still does bring in a lot of people to our area. Another one of the slides that just kind of gives you an overview of where people are visiting us from. 21% of course is within the state of Kansas, so but 50 miles out, so this is still the 50-mile range. So second, of course, is Missouri, the Kansas City area probably, followed by Texas, Illinois, Nebraska, and Oklahoma are our top states visiting us. Demographics is kind of covered right below there, so you can kind of see the age groups, income level, how many people in the households, 3 to 5, education level, and then demographics, ethnicity, and that who are visiting us. And then which days they actually visit us the most. It is still Saturday and Sunday where most of our visitors are coming in to see us. Again, visitation trips versus visitor days. I kind of put a little explanation at the bottom. So one is the trips and then one is visitor days. So basically, just kind of an explanation. If you take 2 trips but spend 3 days each, you have a total of 6 visitor days from the 2 trips. So that's kind of those numbers broken down a little bit for you. And the visitation by year, basically June, like I said, is our biggest month, and that's when they're going to hold the World Cup. So that's been our biggest month for a long time now. Followed, by the July and August, and then September. October, this report was pulled on October 15th, so that's just a half a month. Excuse me. Off to the side then, you'll see kind of our top markets, the designated marketing areas. Kansas City is our largest DMA for that. Topeka, Wichita, St. Louis, Springfield, Dallas, all of those kind of follow right below there. So kind of gives you an idea of the largest markets that are visiting us. This is part of that tourism economics report that they do for the State Office of Tourism. This is the county part, so it kind of gives you an idea of visitor spending in amounts in millions of dollars. So for the Leavenworth County, it sits at 80 million, which is a growth rate of 4.2%. But as you can see, from 2019 all the way to 23, it has steadily increased every year. And then again, a breakdown of the 80 million is 9.2 million on lodging, food and beverage 22.6, retail is at 10.6 million, recreation 11 million, transportation 26.5, for a total of $80 million. And that's Leavenworth County. So then Leavenworth tourism industry, and this report is January 1st through September 30th. This was where I said I kind of compares to what the state's averages were. But Leavenworth, our occupancy is at 67.7, which is pretty good. RevPAR is at 79.15. Our average daily rate is at 116.84. Our transient guest tax funds collected through September 30th were $638,836. So, and it's obviously we have a couple of more months yet to collect on that. So we will probably be a little over what last year's came in at. Some of our website statistics down there, we've had 163,000 views, organic, the direct search, and our paid ads. Our top pages visited, of course, our homepage, our calendar of events, Grinter Farms. I'm telling you, the sunflower thing in September is huge. We were getting calls from New Jersey, Florida. I mean, people, they were, yeah, coming all that way to see.
Beautiful.
Yeah, they are. It's a smaller, it's a few acres, probably only, 5 to 10 acres or so. But yeah, it's amazing how many people have heard of it.
We ought
So.
to plant, we ought to take a city block and
Right.
plant some sunflowers.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Not
Yeah.
a bad idea.
Well, Jet Produce
She could
has
do that. She
some
knows how to
sunflowers
pick
out there, so we
those
we're trying to, we referred them out to Jet Farms too, to see their sunflowers and stuff, so, anyway, but yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, Haley's already done that, so, yeah.
Right. So, visitor guides distributed so far, over 10,000. We do distribute them through travel centers, local deliveries, our hotels, trade shows, direct inquiries, and all that throughout the year, delivering them around town and that to all of the hotels and try and keep them full and remind everybody that if they run out, please let us know and we'd be happy to bring you some more. So, print advertising, we've placed 23 print ads so far this year with a distribution of over 3.7 million publications. Our online advertising, we've continued to have 8 banner ads run on the state's tourism site, travelks.com and that. So we have 8 banner ads on that. And then we also run a search engine marketing, leisure marketing campaign through Meredith and that so far has had over 1.02 million impressions. E-news calendar, we continue to email that out twice a month with over 1,900 subscribers and then an average open rate of a little over 25%. Our stakeholders e-newsletter, we're still trying to grow that. We're at about 135 local people who've signed up for that. So, and that has an open rate of 50%. So. Anyway, if anybody wants a copy of that, let me know. I'll send it. I'll add you to our list. Social media, we have just over 9,000 followers with a total of all our social media, which is an increase of 5.7 over last year at this time. We are running a billboard campaign, a Christmas billboard campaign, and then a Fox News. We are also running a commercial on Fox. So that will start November 25th through the 22nd, and there's 5 different billboards that it will be rotating on. And the impression rate should be just over 1 million between just the billboards. I hadn't included the Fox News on this, but the billboards will have over 1 million impression rate with those 5 different locations. So,
Before you move on your social media, what is the largest of those 5?
Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah, Twitter is, I guess I should say X, Pinterest and Instagram. Yes, Facebook's our largest, I think, with just over 6,000 on that one, and then the rest trickle in with the others.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna get on Snapchat.
We could probably have 4 or 5 more with TikTok and all the other ways, just you get spread so thin. But anyway, so our transient guest tax, we do the tourism grant, and that twice a year, August 1st and February 1st and that. And we do have a committee that goes over that and reviews the applications. So those were some of them that we handed out. We had an ask of over 38,000 this year, and we've been averaging that almost every time that we get grants turned in, whether it be the August round or the February 1st round. It's a lot more than what we have to award. But anyway, we try and do a halfway decent job of getting that money out there, and hopefully it will come back to us and a lot more.
So that difference right there, Christy, is that just, can you give any more color around that? Just didn't meet the criteria of the applications, or?
Oh, you mean the 38,000?
Yeah.
That's what because our grant, you can apply for up to $5,000. So if almost all of them apply for $5,000.
Sure.
And so we just, between, I think we had, there's 7 or 8 different ones there then. And we just can't meet that with all of them.
So more so just trimming down the request than turning anybody away. Okay,
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah. Group tours that we've hosted so far this year, some of the trade shows attended 2024, and some of our upcoming calendar of events. We've got a busy next few weeks in that. So as always, if anybody has any questions on that, just, check out our website and that. We do try and keep our calendar of events up to date. And so, take a quick look at that. Or if you have any questions, always give us a call as well. This is, like I had indicated a little bit earlier, the tourism economics and Oxford economics company that the State Office of Tourism contracts with all the time in order to do all of their studies and research for them and that. So we did work with them to do one just on the city of Leavenworth, and this was their initial findings. And that I took an excerpt out of there, just included one page in my report. I didn't know time-wise whether we'd have enough time to go over what all they turned in. So just a quick excerpt from their book, from their report or whatever. It does show that Leavenworth experienced a solid spending growth of 8% over 2022 to reach $62 million for 2023. 62 million visitors spent in Leavenworth, sustained 740 jobs, and generated over 8 million in state and local tax revenues in 2023, when including indirect and induced impacts. So that's pretty good. I was really happy to see those numbers when they sent in this report. So transportation, they figured 20 million, food and beverage 18 million. Retail 9 million, lodging 8 million, and recreation and entertainment 7 million just for Leavenworth. So,
Can we get a copy of the study?
did that not?
Well,
come
is
through?
it the whole thing? Like, is it just one
It's
page?
this one.
Oh, okay, got it.
Um,
I thought it'd be
There-
bigger.
huh?
I thought it'd be bigger. Like more.
Oh, it's 13 pages.
Okay.
13 pages long, and I did that get sent out, Sarah?
Yeah.
So it should be in your packet.
Okay, solid.
There's, 13 pages and that, so in lieu of time, I hadn't planned on going through all
Oh,
of
no,
it.
that's fine.
Other than,
Are you putting those stats out there? I mean, those are pretty great things for the city. Are we letting people know?
via our social media.
Anything,
and
yeah.
I
should be
posted
proud
on
of that.
our website.
Okay, good.
But, I haven't necessarily put it on Facebook so much, but we certainly could. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I think
mean,
we
just
should
to
brag.
put
Good
the-
idea.
To put it out there that, what it's bringing in and stuff, so.
I'm
yeah,
sure the
we
small
can
businesses
certainly-
would like to see that too.
That's a good idea, yeah. Yeah, and I could even share the report, basically, just attach a link to it or something where they can download it themselves. That would be good. Does anyone have any questions?
It's good to see.
Yeah, is there anything, Chrissy, just, now that you've been doing this for, for a little while and everything, anything you feel like you're doing currently that's like, you know what, we should stop doing that and focus on this more? Anything that comes to your mind at all?
Just industry, okay, so what, Tour Kansas, we've got a Meet Kansas, a Tour Kansas, a Sports Kansas, and that, and our Tour Kansas coalition is going to be disbanding, which is kind of sad to see because that's been such a huge part of everyone's job is to try and get tour buses and everything here. But unfortunately, that coalition is going to disband probably in January of this year or next year. So it's sad to see. We're just I think there's less and less of the tour buses going around, and the ones that are going around, they're going to your Bransons, they're going to your New Yorks, they're going to Chicago, they're going to the, Grand Canyon. It's really hard to pull them into the smaller cities and that. And the whole state is experiencing it. It's not just Leavenworth and that, so.
Are mostly older people on those buses?
What's that?
Is it mostly older people on those?
It is mostly older people in that, and I think even, where you used to see possibly, 50 people on a bus, now you're seeing 20. you know, and that, so I think even a lot of the tour companies and that are cutting back. And another thing that hit that industry hard was when the banks, a lot of bank travel used to be huge, you know, a lot of the people
yeah, they
used to
do the
travel
trips,
through
yeah.
their banks and all that kind of stuff, and the banks, you know, and they consolidated and that, they quit doing that and stuff, so that really hurt that industry a lot. I know that's where Leavenworth got a ton of their tour buses from, was just bank travel in the, you know, within the 50 to 60 mile range.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm not sure, I'm still kind of looking in that. We have cut back. I used to probably go to, you know, 2 or 3 trade shows a year that catered to group tour, but next year I'm only gonna do 1. And that, I don't want to give it up quite yet,
Sure,
but
sure.
it's still a hard pull.
Yeah, unless you're supplementing with anything, right? You know,
Yeah.
as a city, we're just gonna see a continued trend, I would imagine, like laid out. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Thank you, Sharon. Any other questions?
No,
Fine.
thank you,
All
All right, well,
Thank you,
very
Christine.
much.
Appreciate it. All right, well, we'll just move on down, and this will probably be our last item. Anyone else?
How you doing, Pastor?
But, yeah, we're gonna look at our, the request to purchase 312 Delaware Street. Evening,
Want
gentlemen.
to have a seat?
Perfect, thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Evening.
Okay. My name is Pastor Jerry Gatson. This is my son, Elder Royal Gatson. We're from the Ornament of Grace Christian Center, and our desire is to purchase the building at 312 Delaware. A little bit about our ministry. You know, we're a church. We still preach Jesus. We still preach that there's limitless possibility and potential within each and every one of us because we have the same spirit that raised Jesus from the dead living in us. And we still believe in miracles. Imagine, if you will, it's the end of the fiscal year. You have a hole in the middle of the city that is only going to decay. It's going to cost upward of $1 million probably to demolish that building. And somebody comes at the end of the year and says, I'll fix it for you. That's a miracle. That's what we're offering as the church. We're coming here to buy a building that, if nothing is done, is only going to get worse. And it's going to become a sore in the middle of the downtown area. But we have come with an offer to buy it and fix it for the city. To bring to the city what we believe will be promise, potential, and revenue. That's what we hope to bring to the city by purchasing the downtown area. I was talking with my wife, and, you know, we have a balance. Oftentimes, whatever side of an issue I'm on, she's kind of on the other side. And I was talking to her because what the vision that we have for the building is from Isaiah 58:12, where it says, they shall be of thee that build up the old waste places and shall raise up the foundation of many generations. That's what we're planning to do. And earlier in the verse, in that chapter, it talks about how you do it. It talks about feeding the homeless, clothing the naked, and helping those of low income. And so my wife asked, well, that's the same thing that the city initiative has already in place. What are you going to do different? It's a good question. The difference is not a difference in how we do what we're doing, but how we're doing it. Our focus is going to be not to go out to where the people are, but to draw a certain group of people into us that will then be contributors and distributors to meet those needs. When Jesus saw the multitudes in Matthew 5:1, it says he saw people that were hurting, crying, sighing, dying and trying to make it without God, but he didn't go down, he went up. And when he went up, disciples came to him. We hope to build a ministry in Leavenworth by the rebuilding and renovating of the building, as well as the preaching of the gospel of Jesus Christ, draw people to the city, draw people to the downtown area that will then be contributors and distributors to help meet the needs of the city.
Absolutely. So when you talk about the vision of the building itself, I just want to go to this slide right here. And often we all know that there is a hole in the ground, but if you don't focus on the hole primarily, you see this right here, right? You see finished ceilings, exposed wood beams, which are very popular, especially in industrial buildings. You see a nice level floor. And so when you look at this and you determine what can this turn into, I was doing some research over different churches in America and kind of finding, what works. And I ran into this church in Harrison, Ohio, and it's this church. That building, or the 312 Delaware, is just short of 5,000 square feet. This one's a tad bit more, but as you kind of just compare and contrast the two, you see that they're eerily similar, right? The ceiling looks the same, black paint, right? Only difference is probably some recessed lighting added in this one. When you look at the walls look the same. Only difference is fresh paint, right? When you look at the flooring in the other one has a little bit of older carpet laid down, but underneath that is concrete. Once you pull that up and you expose the concrete, you get the exact same thing as this one right here. You get exposed beams, black ceiling, recessed lighting, beautiful white paint once you paint the whole interior. And then you also have concrete floors, which again, if you've been in Walmart, it's the same similar concept where you look down, concrete floor, looks good. You really don't need to add any luxury vinyl plank or laminate to it. And so this slide just basically details out exactly what I just said. Main difference between that building and the other building is recessed lighting, fresh paint, and concrete floors that are exposed. So I just kind of show the vision of it. When you talk about the exterior, this is something that we created with AI. And so, long story short, to me, this shows that the exterior is not far off from being what it could be, right? You look at this part right here with the paint and, you make everything more uniform. You probably get rid of the pony on the side there and, paint the whole exterior. And once you do that, painting the exterior and put it all and make it uniform, it turns into a completely different building. And even as we show this one, I was doing some research too. And if you ever Google Roger, Arkansas, and you ever just look at the architect there, it's eerily similar to Leavenworth, Kansas. So when you get a chance, just kind of look at that. And I just kind of want to show the fact that in reality, it doesn't matter how you paint it because it has different types of paint. When you look at Rogers, Arkansas, in comparison to Leavenworth, same architect, all of it looked good. But this is kind of a staple of what it could be. So when you talk about the building use, right? Obviously, it's a church. But before, we get into the church aspect of it, one thing the building can do as well is operate as a wedding venue or event venue. In the state of Kansas, wedding venues typically cost anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 for each venue. And so when you talk about that and you talk about possibly generating income, of course that requires a different LLC, but we have that in place at the church as well. And so that can also bring revenue on the back end outside of it being the 501c3 church that is operating there. So that's one avenue. And so I want to talk about the community vision, right? Pastor already talked about Isaiah 58, and that was our launch point, so that's exactly what I'm going to launch from as well. And it starts with saying, loose bands, undo heavy burdens, free the oppressed, break every yoke. That is community vision. And so without going too deep into it, you ask certain questions. What is loosing bands? Loosing bands not too dissimilar from a rubber band, right? When you have a rubber band, you stretch it. But unless it's loose, it goes right back to its initial form, right? And so we're preaching Jesus to let you know that the bands can be loose, right? You don't have to return back to whatever held you in bondage previously. Bands can be loose. Undo heavy burden. Heavy burden is a feeling of life has no hope. Things will not get any better. It's only going to get worse from here. We believe all that can be changed from the preaching of the Word of God. And free the oppressed. Freeing the oppressed is feeling like maybe because of your social economic status, maybe because of your income, maybe because of your race, maybe because of your gender, maybe it's because of your family history. You feel like I can't do any better because of this, because of these stipulations, right? But thankfully, with the preaching of the Word of God, we believe you can break that as well. We're not in the caste system, right? You can break things. There's no oppression. Things can happen with the Word of God. And lastly, break every yoke. Yoke, it was used on the ox to not only keep them where there's always something on your shoulders, but it also makes it prevents you from lifting your head up. So we believe preaching the Word of God can break every yoke as well. In Isaiah 58:7, it goes on to say, "Deal thy bread to the hungry." And so one thing the church would like to start emphasizing more is food drives. I was reading this article in Leavenworth Times, 10/31/24, and it states that 105 counties in Kansas saw food insecurity increase among children. Right? And of course, Leavenworth is included in that as well. So I already spoke with the manager of Walgreens a couple weeks ago, and I didn't know this, but Walgreens donates. And so we talked to the manager of Walgreens, and he put this on the book for 2025. We have to wait for the fiscal budget to come about, but we're hopeful by the fact that Walgreens can donate some stuff that we can help donate to the people. So that is something that we're focused on, is the food drive. Again, with Isaiah 58:7, this is the same verse. That's how God explains it. Same verse. Thou bring thy food poor that thou cast out into thy house. Long story short with that, we wanted to do deposit assistance. As we were kind of looking at avenues, the good thing about our church is we have a lot of people who work in community sectors, so therefore we're somewhat knowledgeable. You have everything from people who run housing programs in Kansas City, Missouri, who, you have nurses, you have different things. So running a shelter in and of itself is probably a little bit beyond our scope at this present time. But we still want to help in that capacity. So the easiest way to help was deposit assistance. I'll read this quote and then I'll go into that. In Kansas, landlords can charge up to 1 month's rent for unfurnished unit, with 1 bedroom FMR, fair market rate, going up to $1,183 in 2025 for Leavenworth County, because Leavenworth County is almost always in conjunction with Wyandotte and Jackson County. It's always the same fair market rate. $1,183 saving up for a deposit can be a large sum of money for a family to save up. So Ormond of Grace Christian Center wants to help in that capacity. Initially, when I was thinking of that, I thought the easiest way to go is to go through HUD, and I'm not saying that couldn't be a good route still, but I think a more beneficial route is to go and link with people who own properties in the Leavenworth County area. Really, that's small business, right? And so as you talk to the people who own properties in Leavenworth County, partnering with them to say, this is what we have allocated as far as funds to help individuals. Maybe it's a single mother. Maybe it's somebody who just got a job for the first time, but they just need help with security deposit. We can be of assistance with that. And lastly, Isaiah 58:7, when thou seest the naked, thou cover her. And so we talk about clothing assistance. In the United States, around 40% of children are clothing insecure, meaning they don't have adequate, affordable, or appropriate clothing. Ormond of Grace Christian Center wants to help with that. And when you talk about inadequate or not appropriate clothing, you talk about things like not having coats for the wintertime for children, right? We know how detrimental that can be. So Ornament of Grace wants to start a clothing drive, and so we can assist those who may be in need. And just to go a little bit further with our community vision, my wife spoke with American Red Cross a week or two ago, and we were trying to see how do we go about donating, and they said basically all they need is 1,000 square feet. And at least 25 participants, they'll provide the signs, and they'll put them up, and they'll provide the flyers and the brochures, and we just have to bring the people and promote it from there. So that's also a way that Ornament of Grace wants to improve the community as well. I don't know if y'all had a chance to look at the calendar, and it's just, it's general, so I only put January in there because I didn't know if y'all, okay, perfect, you do have it. And so if you go through there, you see different things, right? You see community blood drive, you see marriage seminars, right? Thankfully, we have experience at our church where our pastor's been married for 36 years, right? I don't know about you, but when I want to hear something about marriage advice, I want to hear it from somebody who's done it for decades, right? Even things as far as parenting. We have people in our church who've raised successful children. So those are things that can benefit the community. Because a lot of people want to know, how is it that I stay married? How is it that I can, raise my children? Because that's something people struggle with. And we have the experience, and I would argue to say the expertise within the church to explain not only biblically, but logistically, how that becomes a possibility. So if you kind of just review the calendar, those things become a possibility. Last thing I kind of want to touch on before I go through a few pictures, when you talk about housing, I was reading a stat that said 50% of Leavenworth residents rent, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, it's literally half. And so, what I also want to talk about, because I've done it in my own spare time, is talk about how to get to home ownership, right? Home ownership, a lot of times people make it seem a little bit more complex than it probably is. You don't have to have 20% down, right? Those things are, they're taught, but they're not necessarily true. So teaching people how to own a home, and really a lot of that comes down to how to manage debt, right? And so we want to host a class to teach people how to manage debt, right? If you can understand debt to income ratio, you can understand the process of owning a home. That's really the biggest component of it. It doesn't, like I say, it doesn't matter how much you make, but you don't have to make a crazy amount. You just have to have a small amount of debt. A lot of people don't know that. That's something Ornament of Grace wants to come together and teach to the community. A few pictures that we want to show of the church real quickly. As you see, we've done community events. You see them for Leavenworth, outreach events. You actually see, donations here in the chairs as well. Pastor and I are actually authors as well, and so you can see the books that we've not only wrote but published ourselves as well. You see the women's ministry. You see the children's ministry. And I also want to talk, when you talk about community outreach, Ornament of Grace Christian Center has also made sure that when we have yearly events, whenever we have, celebrations, we've gone through. Last event we had right here, this was done by XOXO Entertainment, right? We went to something that was hosted by City a few weeks ago, and we saw them with the 360 booths. So therefore, we took that company that was, locally in Leavenworth, and we asked them to come to our event here, whether it be the bakery. We've also used the bakery at different times. We've rented out Island Spice. We've rented out Ichiban, that may technically be Lansing instead of Leavenworth. But we try to do our best to try to actually put the money when we're doing events into the local businesses as well. And just last picture here, we make sure even last year to focus on water baptism, right? We make sure to Christmas celebrations, things like that, to get people excited and do different things around the church. And you'll also see the top left, even I think next week and the week after that, we're doing wear your favorite jersey at the church as well, and hopefully no one wears anything outside of Chiefs. So that is those are
9-1,
that Grace intends to do and is already doing for the community.
In case you weren't able to make the correlation, the things that we listed as far as the helping the homeless, feeding those that need clothing, and those are in line with the 5-year consolidation plan that Leavenworth has in place already to benefit low and moderate income persons, prevent or eliminate slum or blight, as well as meet urgent needs of the community. All those are being addressed in the presentation that we all just shared with us.
Questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
I definitely love the presentation and definitely love the idea of helping, serving, and giving back to the community. Question that I have, are you looking to purchase the other half of the Youth Achievement Center? Because that's been purchased by a private owner.
Maybe eventually.
Okay,
Because,
okay.
yeah, they're presently using it right now. At the moment, we're only talking of 312.
Okay, got you. All right.
Any other questions? Definitely appreciate the thought you put into this. It was for sure well thought out. You know, it's good to kind of get this out there as we, you know, talk through and I know, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think a lot of us would agree, we hate it when a building sits empty, you know, we
Yeah.
talked about that a lot.
Oh, what?
We hate it when a building sits empty.
Oh, yes, okay.
So, I think really, I don't have any other questions at this point either. Next step on this here would be, I think, review, Mr. Peterson, and more of a formal review, and like to see maybe staff recommendation internally, and we could discuss it in a city meeting with your offer as is right now.
Yeah, we're looking at, I mean, just all of the criteria that the city has, that a proposal will be considered, so we'd have to look at all those criteria. Any similar projects that you've done and performance of the past development projects and all that. But on the bigger scope, we need to look at the neighborhood too. We need to look at what we are trying to build in that neighborhood according to what our plan is for downtown Leavenworth. And so we're looking at, I mean, there are other options too. It's not just gonna sit there empty. It's not going to, I mean, everything takes a while before we start getting proposals in. But I think that we probably will have some other proposals come up as well. So, just to let you know that, I don't think, you know, we're gonna make a decision on this right.
Okay.
I do have another question regarding the youth. I know that was the Youth Achievement Center. They gave back to the community, provided opportunities for the kids to come after school. Do you have any ideas for any after-school programs possibly implementing?
We don't have anything in place,
Okay.
but we definitely have personnel that would be able to assist with children that have difficulty with some of their homework, that we need after-school assistance with, you know, some of the curriculum that they deal with. And it's definitely something we can look into.
Okay, yeah.
And, you know, if you're unaware of something, it's smart to ask. So, is that corporation still around?
I don't
No,
think
they
so.
can't afford to stay there anymore.
So,
But are they
Couldn't
still
afford to-
correct, is it still a corporation?
intact, even though they're not physically in the
No,
building?
I don't think so.
I don't.
So, the reason I ask that is because if they're just lacking a building, then maybe something can be negotiated, right? Because if it's just, you know, hey, it crumbled, we weren't able to afford it, but we would still like to do that, then that's something we can potentially partner with them with as well. So, you know, possibilities, it's a possibility.
So you're open to a partnership with organizations that provide those services?
Yes.
Gotcha. All right, appreciate it, yeah.
Not my call.
But I got you, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Yeah, but
That's the future there.
Yeah. Well, I definitely appreciate it, love the presentation, and like I said, just thank you all for everything that you're doing. I know you do a lot in the community, and just thank you just for serving God, serving the community, and giving back.
I just want to say, like, I appreciate your heart for serving. And I also want you to, you know, just put out there, you know, reach out to the interfaith shelter, reach out to our own rental property coordinator here at the city, reach out to Welcome Central, reach out to our attainable housing program. And, you know, it sounds like it would be a good partnership, and maybe some of these things you can join in. Because
Solve the issues.
you do have a heart for serving and you do have a plan, but maybe you can partner with these organizations that are already doing it.
do you mind saying them one more time?
No, not at all. I mean, there's the shelter, the interfaith shelter.
There's a lot of them.
There are a lot, but we have a rental program here for the city. We also have Welcome Central, who's attainable housing program. But we can talk off after the meeting too. But, yeah, I mean, sounds like you can partner with those people as well.
We had some church. That's what I'm talking about. Jesus loves you, brother. Appreciate y'all.
Amen. God bless you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming
God
tonight.
bless.
Thank you all.
Yep, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate your time and your attention.
Yes, sir. Yep, thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, well, doing another audience scan, and it looks like that concludes our meeting for tonight. So I'd like to go around the table. Ms. Peterson, got any comments before we? Nothing. All right, cool. Ed?
Don't forget to come out to the Mayor's Christmas Lighting and Parade this Friday.
5
That's
o'clock,
right.
parade starts.
You driving a Cadillac?
No, what Cadillac? I didn't drive a Cadillac last time. Remember, it was a Roadster.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And it was freezing.
Yeah.
Cold.
I haven't looked at the weather.
It usually is, for some reason, that night always is and it's supposed to turn cold again.
Is it
Yeah,
Friday?
just
Yeah,
in time.
tomorrow, yeah.
Can I ask an update on 4th Street? I'm getting a lot of calls.
Oh, yeah.
On complaints and
Lights.
everything. Are the lights on back order? Are they gonna be here soon? Are there stop the lights up? Is
They're
there-
still several weeks away,
Okay.
is my understanding. I did see some correspondence today that they're gonna go out and put some updated speed limit signs out there. Yeah, we've been receiving the complaints as well.
Okay.
Sounds like maybe some traffic enforcement may be needed there as well, so we'll approach that tomorrow
Dangerous.
Okay.
with the police department. But yeah, we are listening and hearing all that too, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. And thank you for the update on the animal shelter. That was
Oh,
good
yeah.
too, so thank you.
But it's great to know, yes, you can drive down 4th Street.
Yes,
Please obey.
Still be turning off
Speed limit.
Right.
It is 30, 20 in town.
I think they're gonna reduce it back to 20, yeah.
20,
Yeah.
yeah.
To help slow people down.
Through the downtown, it should be.
But when people do complain, a lot of it's, hey, when can I drive down there? You can go do it.
well, I think it was just,
Absolutely.
Be careful.
the stop
crossing.
signs weren't clear on the east-west.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you so much.
Cool. Nancy?
Well, I'm always focusing, and I'm gonna focus as long as I can on the downtown and getting more business down there. And someone mentioned to me about housing incentive policy, that all of the towns or the cities around us have a housing incentive policy. And if, we've got our hotels, we've got the lofts and all that, but having more people live downtown also brings in more business. And so, I wonder if we could maybe look into that, at the other cities and just see what they're doing and maybe see what the benefits of something like that would be.
I believe Lansing's doing it now, so.
Lansing's doing it now, yes. And also, looking at our empty buildings and how we can, maybe, get them filled or have some requirement that they be filled. I don't know.
Wasn't that part of our goals in
Yeah,
April?
I think goals, but I mean, how are we gonna,
Have a study session
Yes.
to
how are we
discuss
gonna
it.
carry that
Okay.
out?
Yeah.
And that's what I also like to see with other cities, what they're doing, so we aren't reinventing the wheel, just getting some ideas of what's working and what's not. Because I know some other cities have, and you and I have talked about this, but some other cities have rules on, inspections, just inspections. I mean, look what happened to the Hazel's building down there. I mean, that could have really
yeah.
hurt somebody badly. And so we've got other buildings downtown that have not been inspected in a long time that are vacant. And I realize that those that have businesses in are inspected by, the fire department but the others aren't. So, I would like to look into those issues a little bit more. Anything we can do to fill some of the empty spaces would be a good thing, I think. And that's all I have tonight. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So are you looking for a study session?
Well, yeah, but I'd like to
Wanna get some
gather some
report. Okay,
information
I got
first
you.
and then have our,
Study session?
Yeah.
have a study session set up for the
Yeah, nothing ventured,
next
nothing
few
gained.
months,
No,
yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, got you.
Good. Just a goal, thank you.
Man, just happy Thanksgiving. God bless. Enjoy family time, create memories, laughters. Tomorrow's not promised for any of us, so enjoy the moments that you have with your loved ones while they're still here. That's all.
Absolutely. Yep. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and we will see you Friday night at the tree lighting. at 6 o'clock.
We still have a meeting next Tuesday.
Yeah, we
right?
have meetings.
Oh,
do?
for Thanksgiving, okay.
So
What about
have
that?
a doubly
Yeah.
good
I know.
Thanksgiving.
We got a commission meeting next
See
week.
y'all
All
in
right.
a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
All
I know,
right,
you're ready to take your
Just start
time
off.
off, right?
that'll do it. All right, cool.
Thank you.
Yep.